the senior advocate of Nigeria and renowned human rights lawyer Femi Falana, who has condemned the reported arrests as unlawful and is set to defend Mr. Adeyemi in court. Mr. Falana, thank you very much indeed for joining us. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, perfectly well. I can hear you, Charles.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. Now, under the Nigerian Constitution and this country's criminal justice laws, is there any legal circumstance whatsoever in which the police can arrest the parent or relative of a suspect simply because they are looking for that suspect?
Well, under the Constitution, you can only seize the liberty of a Nigerian if he or she is reasonably suspected committed an offense. So, criminality is not transferable. And for the avoidance of doubt, Section 7 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, Act 15, provides that a person shall not be arrested in lieu of a suspect. The same provision is reproduced in Section 36 of the Nigerian Police Force Establishment Act of 2020. So as far as the law is concerned, family members of a criminal suspect cannot be arrested in Nigeria. There was the case of African Continental Bank and Okonkwo in 1997, where the bank alleged that one of his staff had stolen some money. The mother was arrested. The mother of the suspect, and her properties were carted away by the police. The Court of Appeal, particularly the late Justice Nikki Toby, pointed out that under the Nigerian Constitution, it's totally alien to arrest a suspect, the mother of a suspect, for the offenses alleged to have been committed by her child, and that therefore the action of the police was deprecated, and the court awarded colossal damages in favor of the mother of the suspect. But that has now been put into the law. So for the avoidance of doubt, no police officer or any law enforcement official can arrest the family member of a suspect. So the reported arrest of Mr. Adeyemi's father cannot be justified under the Constitution, under the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, and under the Nigerian Police Force Establishment Act. I got a call from the police officers in Abuja this evening, where I was informed that the old man wasn't really. The police merely invited him to take them to a particular place as part of their investigation, and that he was asked to make a statement, and I made a statement not under caution, and that after his statement was taken and the family member that was arrested along with him, that he was released, allowed home. Whichever way it is, if the police officers involved had wanted the father of Mr. Adeyemi to assist them in their investigation, they should have taken his statement, if they wanted the statement at all, in his house and not in a police station in Ogbomoso. You know, I do hope that this will not repeat itself. To the best of my knowledge, Mr. Adeyemi was arrested in October last year. He was detained for about 3 weeks by the police. He was charged. A charge was filed against him on November 27 last year. The information at my disposal, the case has come up about 4 times. It has not been arraigned. I do hope with the decision of the President of the Republic to refer this matter to the ICPC, it is hoped that we shall get to the root of what has been described as a scandal of monumental dimension in the country. So I hope all public officers and Mr. Adeyemi will assist the ICPC in its investigation. Meanwhile, no agency of the government should survive the decision of the president to have this matter investigated by the ICPC. So the police will have to step down on this matter, as it were, and allow the ICPC to go into this matter so that if any public officer have been, any public officer involved, particularly in inserting the budget of the agency in the appropriation bill that was passed by both chambers of the National Assembly and signed into law by the president. I don't want to go into other details of that, but suffice it to say that the police should apologize to the father of Mr. Adeyemi and the relation, you know, that were arrested yesterday. Right. Again, this is in line with the Constitution.
Okay.
You know,
well,
Section 35, subsection 6 says, if there is any illegal arrest, there shall be a public apology and compensation, right, where it is necessary.
Okay, because there are 2 things here, Mr. Falana. One is that I think many Nigerians would be heartened to learn that you are now involved in this case from the point of view of being a legal counsel, because they have a lot of confidence in you and the fact that you're somebody who speaks not just on behalf of your clients, but robustly on behalf of the rule of law and the Constitution of this country. So I think a lot of people will be heartened to know that you're involved in this case now. The other thing I was going to ask you is those officers who arrested Mr. Adeyemi's father, if it turns out that they acted outside the law, what should accountability look like? Should this simply end with the release of those arrested, as you're saying they've let his father go, or should there be disciplinary and even criminal consequences for officers who abuse their powers, as it appears that has happened given the violation of the relevant sections of the law that you were quoting for us?
Thank you very much. I'm humbled. Quite a number of Nigerians have contacted me to ensure that this matter is not swept under the carpet, and I have assured them that I'm not just defending Adeyemi. I want to defend the integrity of my country. I want to defend the integrity of the Republic, so that people involved will have to answer questions And if at the end of the day, whoever is involved will have to face the law. Whoever has violated due process or the provisions of the law, including the Appropriation Act of 2026, will have to face the law very squarely. With respect to the harassment or the arrest of Adeyemi's father, just like we do in all cases of this nature, I have been briefed, and we are going to take appropriate steps, not just for the father of Adeyemi, but just to ensure that we make the point that this country will have to respect the human rights of all Nigerians, whether they are in Ogbomoso or in South Africa. That's why I'm calling on the government. There's not enough to remove Nigerians from South Africa and, resettle them in Nigeria. The government must proceed. The government of Nigeria must proceed to challenge the violations of Article 12 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights by South Africa, the killing of Nigerians in South Africa by the thugs as well as the police in South Africa. So it's not just enough for Nigerians, we have a good relationship with South Africa, we are going to settle this. No. In Ghana today, the South African president, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, that was planning to visit South Africa, has been asked to put his trip off to mining licenses of South Africans will not be renewed in Ghana. And there are other steps being taken. And so the government of Nigeria must let South Africa know, must let the police in Nigeria know that the rights of Nigeria must be respected wherever they are.
Indeed. I think most people would agree with you absolutely in that assessment. Now, just returning to this case, the Adeyemi case, it's obviously attracted national attention because of the personalities involved. Without discussing the criminal case itself, what precedent do you believe this moment could set for Nigeria? Could it become an opportunity to finally draw a line, a firm sort of constitutional line against a lot of things? I mean, including substituted arrests, agencies, a record of the agencies the Nigerian government has, the respect for due process, and so on.
I think a lot of lessons will be learned from this case. The first one is, again, the integrity of the budget of the country. 2, due process will have to be followed in all affairs of the government. In this case, if the claim of the government is true, that a con man came to town and virtually took over the government, nobody is going to accept that. And that is why I believe, and we're going to assist the ICPC to get to the root of this matter. How was an office set up for this organization in the Federal Secretariat? How were staff deployed to the office of Mr. Adeyemi? How were accounts open in the central bank? Who entered this organization, in the domain of the government, So there are many questions that will have to be answered. And of course, what items can enter the budget of Nigeria? What type of scrutiny happened in the National Assembly? How was the budget passed? And how was it signed into law? Somebody very powerful must have inserted that item in the budget of the country. So these are issues that will have to be resolved so that proper lessons are drawn from it, so that it will not what has become an embarrassing for our country will not repeat itself. That's my own understanding of this whole matter. And this is not a matter that the mere charge of forgery can answer. No. The investigation will have to be expanded.
Absolutely. I think you speak for virtually every right-thinking Nigerian in this circumstance. Let me turn briefly, Mr. Falana, to the defamation threat against your client. He's now facing a threatened 10 billion naira defamation suit from the chief of staff to the presidency over some very serious allegations he made publicly. Without going into the merits of those allegations, how do you view this latest development? Does it complicate an already pending criminal matter?
Charles, I can only speak on my restricted brief. I have not been briefed about any threat to file a libel suit by Mr. Femi Miller. To that extent, I cannot comment on the propriety of the step being taken in this matter. But as I said, I am very convinced that with the decision of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to have this matter investigated within 30 days by the ICPC, some of the decisions or steps being taken now may be overtaken by events at the end of the investigation. That's all I can say for now.
Yes, I totally understand that and I respect that. But let me tap your enormous legal brain in this circumstance and ask you, legally speaking, what happens when someone who is already facing criminal proceedings is also threatened with a major civil defamation action arising from public statements connected to the same controversy? Can those two processes run side by side, or is there a danger of one prejudicing the other?
Charles, you are asking me to comment on, answer some hypothetical questions. If I'm briefed in a matter of this nature, clearly, the investigation by the President will have to take precedence over any libel suit or criminal action, so that we know who to charge at the end of the day. And we will know at the end of the day whether a libel action can be sustained.
Yes, I understand that. I was purely trying to see if you would be happy to comment on it purely from a legal point of view. But I respect the points you're making. Let me move on from there. And let me get your take on something that you have commented on publicly recently. The FCT Minister Nyesom Wike gifted houses to judges in Abuja. Do you see that as a gesture of welfare or a constitutional red flag?
Again, we have to look at the Constitution. Once the judiciary enjoys financial autonomy, and this is not just at the federal level, at the state level as well. Gone are the days when judges will be asked to queue up to collect keys of cars or keys of houses. No. I can understand the concern of the government to provide houses to judges, but it has to be done through the National Judicial Council, which is in judiciary, because the government has cases before the judges that are being given houses by the executive. It is not right. There is separation of powers. the budget of the judiciary has to be managed by the NJC at the federal level, and it's stipulated there that the budget of the judiciary in the state shall be managed by the heads of court. So the budget of the judiciary will have to make provision for houses for judges, for vehicles for judges, for security for judges. So it's not a matter of charity on the part of the executive or generosity. I do hope this again will not happen. Will not repeat itself, because I'm aware of moves to have this matter sorted out in court. We cannot continue. In one of the states recently, I did comment. I went to a court, and lo and behold, I saw the hanging menacingly on the head of the judge. And I said, my Lord, what is going on here? This happened in 1986 or 87, no, 1990 or thereabout. In the Lagos High Court, even under a military regime, where we saw the photograph of the governor of a state, Lagos State, who was sued. It was a libel suit against the late Dr. Vekon Asankwiti and myself. General Obasanjo had sued us, over our campaign, I think against his nomination for the United Nations Secretary General. He sued us. And we saw the photograph of the judge, of the governor. The general wanted to give evidence, and our lawyer, the late Chief Adeyemi, objected. My Lord, no. This was the commander-in-chief of the governor, whose photograph is hanging over there. And of course, that protest led to the removal of the photographs of governors all over the country. You can only have the logo of the republic and not the photograph of a governor or the president inside the court, so that whoever enters the court will know that there is equality before the law. But if the government of a state or the federal government that has cases before judges, the judges are giving cars and vehicles and whatever, there are problems. Anybody can raise an objection. Anybody can raise an objection that there is likelihood of bias. And that is not in the interest of the judicial system. It's not in the interest of judges who have sworn to dispense justice without fear or favor. And this is the whole essence, whether judges are not deserving of houses or good accommodation or security or whatever. No, it is that things must be done properly in line with the provisions of the Constitution.
I want to thank you very much indeed, Mr. Falana. It's always an absolutely great experience having you on the program. Just before I let you go, I know you touched on this earlier, but what is the absolutely best way that judicial welfare should be funded and managed in a way that avoids controversy? I'm not just talking about the people who dispense the funds. I'm talking about the best way to fund judicial welfare.
No, the Constitution is very clear on this. There are decisions of our courts, about 3, that has recognized the autonomy of the financial autonomy of the judiciary. And the Constitution has also been amended to ensure that there is no problem around the welfare of judges. And so what I'm saying is that as far as the Constitution is concerned, the National Judicial Council, federal level, heads of court at state levels will have to manage the budget of the judiciary. And that is the law today. That is the law of the country. Or the law is amended to confer the powers on the executive to buy cars for judges, to build house for judges. But as of today, it is not under the Constitution.